Hello, my friends, and welcome to an episode of the podcast TerraRossa. I'm Gianluca Sola. I just wanted to do this video as an update and let you guys know what's going on with TerraRossa, with me and everything. So yeah, I'm really happy. We are now on LinkedIn, Substack, and YouTube. We're using those three platforms, and most of our followers come from LinkedIn. So I've reached about 2,000 followers now on LinkedIn. It's not much, I know, but I'm quite happy about that. And then we've got Substack and YouTube, which have just been kind of launched. So that's going to take a while. And subscriptions to my newsletter, TerraRossa, has reached around 400 now, which is also really cool. So thank you very much for everybody who's subscribing and reading my newsletters and following my podcast. It's a good moment also to say, please subscribe and hit the notification button for YouTube videos. Subscribe to my newsletter, LinkedIn or Substack, doesn't really matter. And yeah, hopefully we will continue on this journey, and I'll continue providing you with a lot of nice articles and podcasts on the tennis world, my passion. But let's move on. There's just a few things, as I said, I want to talk about in this podcast. I have a great interview that I'm going to drop very soon, maybe even tomorrow. I interviewed Vincenzo Santopadre. I have a lot of people asking me about Italian tennis. Obviously, Italian tennis is very much in the news right now. For those of you who don't know who he is, he was the coach of Matteo Berrettini for many, many years, and now he coaches Sonego, and he has worked with the Italian Tennis Federation and education programs and other types of participations. And he was an ATP player himself, got to 100 in the world ranking. So he's one of the better Italian people to talk to regarding the Italian tennis boom or renaissance or whatever you want to call it, because he's lived it before, during, and right now. He's in the thick of things again. He gave some very, very cool insights. And yeah, so check it out when I will publish that, which will be in the next few days. Then the third thing I like to update is about the injury situation. Now, my latest newsletter was all about the injuries on the ATP Tour. Since then, a few things changed, and I'd like just to clear them up. So first of all, let's start with Sinner. Now, as you know, I follow the Italian press daily. And as you can imagine, in Italy right now, there is a lot of news when it comes to Jannik Sinner. He's basically daily news, and there's all kinds of news on him. So you have to take everything with a bit of a pinch of salt. And I was saying that Sinner skipped Montreal, and we thought, well, maybe just skipping it because he doesn't want to play too much, like what happened earlier in the year. He'll probably just do Cincinnati and then the US Open, which will probably is his main goal in this North American hardcourt swing. But what happened is, yes, predictably, he did skip Montreal, was on the list to play Cincinnati, but he had these tests done in Milan. He goes often to San Raffaele Hospital, obviously got some doctors there that check him up for a knee problem. And it was reported that it was nothing serious, nothing major, that he would play Cincinnati. In fact, the following day after his visit, he was practicing as normal in Monte Carlo. So there was nothing strange about it. Instead, he pulled out, as we know now, from Cincinnati, saying that he's got a knee problem. This is all to say that no matter where the news comes from, we actually don't know what's going on with the top players. And Sinner's a perfect example. Right now, for example, it seems like he's going to be playing the US Open, but we're not even sure about that anymore. So obviously, except for his close family, friends and coaches and team, nobody else knows what's going on. So it's very difficult to talk about injuries because we don't know. Who knows? Maybe even the players don't know very well what's going on, and decisions are made on a daily basis. That's my suspicion. Alcaraz is the other guy that, okay, Alcaraz, we know he had a serious injury with his wrist. It would take time, blah, 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 since Barcelona. We've been seeing him practice many times, and he also seemed to be scheduled to play Cincinnati, but he's pulled out of that. He hasn't pulled out of the US Open, but now, to be quite honest, I think everybody in the tennis world is basically feeling that, he can't go to the US Open and just play when he hasn't played for months. It's the best of 5 sets. It's a slam. It wouldn't make sense, but we'll see. But as it stands now, the feeling is that Alcaraz will definitely not play the US Open. Be a big surprise if he does. And Sinner, we don't know. I think he will play, but who knows? There's a good chance he might also not play. So that's going to make for a completely different type of tournament. But let's wait and see what happens. About injuries, the third person that I talked to about injuries was Rune. Also, he's been giving different dates when he's going to return and start playing. Apparently, his doctor gave the all clear. He's fine. He's training, etc. But he pulled out of Cincinnati. And now, in a recent interview on Andy Roddick's podcast, he said that most probably he'll only play again in the Asian swing, or maybe he'll play again with the Danish Davis Cup when the Davis Cup comes around. So he's extended his injury, which was obviously a very serious one. And finally, there is Draper, which, as we all know, has been struggling with injuries for the past 2 years, probably, and hasn't played much. There's a lot to say about Draper, but also I heard a recent interview on another podcast where there was a snippet of an interview he done recently. We all know that he played Montreal. He went out in the first round, and he played also Cincinnati, where he got eliminated by the Spanish player Landaluce in the first round. It seems like he's really struggling with this injury. Also in this interview, as we all know, he's dropped out of the top 100. He's getting wild cards to play these tournaments. But his problem in the interview, he seems to say that he's rested his arm, because apparently that's the only sort of solution to his arm problem. He's also got a knee problem, but the arm seems to be the serious one. He describes it as playing with the whole arm that is pounding, inflamed. That was the description he gave. And he says, it doesn't allow him to play like he wants to play. And it's very upsetting. You can see it in his voice. He seems nearly defeated, and it's very sad. And I'm not sure about the US Open, but I think he also mentioned that because he would have to play qualies, if the rest didn't help his arm, that's really bad news. Must be very frustrating. He obviously has changed his racket. He's changed his strings. He's trying different solutions. And he also said he's trying to fix certain things, but it will help only certain parts of his body. So let's wait and see. I'm sure his team knows what to do. I wonder if playing these Masters 1000s one games is any use. And this is what happens to a lot of players, top players that have a serious injury and are out of the game for many, many months, even a year or plus, is I would go back in playing challengers. That way he might be able to play more than one match. With these Masters 1000s, he's only played a match. So playing more than one match and building up a bit of confidence, building up match play, it's all connected. And so maybe playing challenges is a good way to play at a slightly lower level, get more matches in, maybe more wins, and build it up from there. But that's the whole situation about injuries. We kind of don't know what's going on. There's a lot of injuries happening. That's the update. We'll see now with the US Open. It could be a draw with no Alcaraz, no Sinner. Then that completely opens up the field to anything could happen. Or it could be, in my opinion, maybe just a draw with Sinner and no Alcaraz. In that case, also, it will be similar to what happened with Wimbledon and Roland Garros in the French Open, where Sinner will be on one part of the draw and the other part of the draw will be more open. Having said that, there was a statistic where no US Open winner has won the US Open without playing one of the two hardcore tournaments leading up to. So without playing the Canadian Masters and Cincinnati Masters 1000. So Sinner would come in, and if he were to play it and if he were to win it, he would be the first person to do that without having a warm-up tournament going in. Having said that, he's done this before. He's done that with Wimbledon. He didn't play any grass court tournaments going in, and he did win it. Yes, he played a little exhibition, but it's not the same thing. Maybe if he's feeling great, he might do what he's been doing. He did at Indian Wells this year, or he might arrive for the US Open a week or 10 days before and then have a proper preparation leading up to the US Open. Let's wait and see. That's very interesting. Finally, let's talk about the two tournaments. We're in the middle of these two tournaments. One's just finished. Today is Saturday, the 15th of August. The Montreal Canadian Masters 1000 just finished. Ben Shelton won it, beating Nakashima, and Cincinnati has just started as well. I think there's not much we can get out of these two tournaments, unfortunately. When you don't have the top players playing, and also when you have the top players in the draw but going out in the first rounds or going out for injury, there's not much that we can really extrapolate from it. Ben Shelton played extremely well. He literally destroyed most of the players he played against and the matches he had. He beat Nakashima in the final, who also had a great tournament. But yes, if you were to look at Shelton now, you'd say, wow, he's one of the favorites for the US Open. But as I was saying, I think it's very difficult to summarize or to really take anything from this because the top players weren't there. And I think Shelton is a player that, yes, when he is on top form, he will destroy and dictate his matches. And anyone sort of outside of the top 10, he can easily beat. But when somebody in the top 10 is playing and is in form or not injured, it's a different story. You can only play the draw. You can only play whoever's in the tournament. So I'm not saying anything bad about him. He's looking great. And as a matter of fact, I think he's probably in the mix to be one of the players who could win the US Open. It will all depend who's playing and where he's at in the draw, etc. As far as Nakajima is concerned, great tournament, coached by Ferreira, a South African, who I must say, in my opinion, must be very good. He also coached Tiafo, and he seems to always get a player and improve him, get him more confident, playing more aggressively. He's definitely a top coach, which always adds to the player. And quickly as well, fairly quickly at the moment. Apart from that, in the rest of the tournament, I'm talking about Montreal, I think the other person that stood out and we have to talk about as well is Rafael Yodar, the young Spanish player. He's having a heck of a year. He could break the record of the quickest player to go from outside the top 100 in the ranking inside the top 10. He's very close in doing that. The player who holds that record is Boris Becker. So he's having a heck of a year, Rafael Yodar. Definitely going to be a top player going forward. Obviously, it's his first year. We'll see next year when, he'll have to defend points. There's more pressure. People know who he is. There's a big leap from being a top player, great player, and winning slams, as we all know. So let's see if he's able to get into that mix. But so far, he's showing personality and he's showing characteristics of a top player. And I'm not the only person saying that. It's coming from ex-legends of tennis that are saying this as well. So let's wait and see. Cincinnati as well, we'll see. Maybe Zverev, who's playing, he went out in the first round in Montreal. Be interesting to see how he does. He's obviously got a great opportunity to win the tournament, get going, and also reduce the gap to Sinner. Because especially for the year-end number one, he's quite close. So he's got a bit of motivation to do that right now. Djokovic is back, as usual, playing his tournament pre-slam. It will be a great tournament to see who's playing well. Mensik, the younger generation, etc. Fritz, let's see. He didn't have a great Montreal, but that's because he won Washington. Leading up to the US Open, which I'll do, obviously, another podcast before the draw of the US Open, it's going to be interesting to see with the US Open who's going to take advantage of the situation. So you've got your Americans. I think amongst the Americans who could take advantage is Taylor Fritz or Ben Shelton. Those are the top two, I think, that could do very well. If Sinner plays, I think he'll still be the favorite, but we'll see how he comes into the tournament. Zverev could really take advantage again. He won the French Open, as we all know, so now he's a Grand Slam winner and he's playing great. So he could take advantage of that. And obviously there's Djokovic that is saying, well, wow, imagine if there's no Sinner and no Alcaraz, then he's really got the chance of winning his 25th slam. And then there's a huge amount of other players who could have a chance depending on the draw. So let's wait and see. There's too many alternatives or too many options or things that have to happen before the US Open. So we'll talk about it closer to that. Thanks for following and listening to me. I hope you enjoyed this update. Let me know in the comments if you've got any comments or questions. And remember to subscribe to my newsletter as well. Bye-bye, my friends. Ciao.